What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's me, Bigg Vic. We back in here with another video. Today, I have a couple of special guests. One you may have seen before, one you probably did not see. I have Zach, VP of Sales over at OTR Solution, and I also have Wade, Partnership Accounts Manager. What's up, Zach? What's up, Wade? How's it going?
What's up, man? How we doing?
All is
Fantastic.
well. All is well. All is well.
Thanks for having us,
So,
Vic. We appreciate it.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Always welcome. So, Zach, I'm going to just let you give the audience just a little bit about your background with OTR, before we jump in, so they'll get really familiar with who you are and exactly what you do over there at OTR.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with OTR for almost 9 years now. I came in on the factoring side, just as a start out sales executive, cold calling. Blessed enough to work my way up through the ranks, and then have been managing the factoring sales team for the last 4 years. And then over the last really year or two, we've kicked off Fuel as its own standalone product once we transitioned from being OTR Capital to OTR Solutions. And it brought forth the opportunity to basically do it all over again with Fuel, build a new team, launch a new product out into the marketplace, and do what we do best and grow at a quick rate. So been working exclusively with the Fuel team pretty heavily for about the last 2 years now.
Okay.
We've had our Fuel product for a good 6 or 7 years, but it was kind of always an additional add-on to factoring. And just in this last two, we've kind of made it its own. So excited about it, growing quickly. But yeah, I've been here for a long time. I've seen a lot from both sides, but excited to see where we're taking this Fuel program for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Wade?
Yes, sir. Yeah, always good to be here, Vic. For those that may not have seen some of the previous stuff that Vic and I have done together. So my name's Wade Fenton. I'm the Partnerships Account Manager here at OTR. Been with OTR going on, well, I guess it's been 7 years now. Kind of like Zach started on the factoring side, working with carriers and, selling directly, to the carrier side. And then over the last maybe 3 years, we kind of put an emphasis on, bringing on different partnerships and different, people in the industry that can help educate carriers and help them stay in business like yourself. And so I kind of shifted my focus to that, and, been doing that for 3 years. Love it. Love helping, carriers, gain that information, help them stay on the road and making connections so that they can remain successful in the industry.
Awesome. Awesome. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So I just recently started using OTR's Fuel program, their Fuel card. For the guys and females that don't know, I currently use OTR's Fuel card, and we've been seeing some significant savings on our fuel by using their Fuel program. Like I've been bucking the fuel system for a while with OTR. Like, hey, I don't use the Fuel card. Like I don't use it. Like I don't use them. I use other cards, but then I started seeing some savings. I was just recently in Connecticut, and while I was up there, I pulled the app up while I was training one of my mentees up there, and I was like, whoa, $1.80 off. I'm like, wait a minute. This is different. Right. So I said, wait a minute, if they have these type of savings, I may need to get a little more in-depth information on how these savings are coming about, where are the best savings at, and just kind of talk to OTR and Zach more in particular, because he does the fuel side of things, and just to get a little more information. Let's start off with Zach. Why do you feel like it's necessary to have a fuel card as a trucking company, like someone just starting off? Like, what's the importance of? What's your take on it?
Yeah, for me, it's a basic common need, right? I mean, as just regular everyday people in the world, having a Kroger card, a Costco card, something like that saves you 5 cents is beneficial to us. But when your full-time job is driving, having a fuel card can't really be a want anymore. It has to become a need and a necessity. The amount of savings that we see, just speaking about our fuel card, the amount of savings that we see our guys saving is drastic. I mean, we've got 1 to 2 truck companies saving 800 to 1,600. We've seen, just depending on where you're running across the U.S. In a monthly window, and that's substantial when you talk about insurance costs rising, lower invoice sizes, just what we've seen with the freight market. I think it's become heavily more of a necessity than just a want or even an afterthought to think about these discounts. I think they're very impactful. And then with ours, we're including things like tire maintenance programs, bigger discounts, earn rewards to get free showers. So again, it's just adding more and more benefit to your business, particularly if you're starting out, or even if you are established. But if you're starting out, I think it's a no-brainer that it's definitely going to help potentially keep you in business longer, because it's putting that money back in your pocket, but it's also just going to set you up for success as you go forward.
There's a lot of fuel cards out there, right? When a new person signs up, they probably get 1,000 phone calls, right? From just various different companies that are in transportation, fuel cards being one of those. So you kind of don't know who to choose, which one to select, who has the best benefits, what fuel programs are the best to take a look at. So are all fuel cards pretty much the same?
That's a great question. At the basis core of a fuel card, you could say yes. The idea is simply to have a card that's going to provide you with discounts, right? When we think about our card, we obviously tie it with our name of OTR Solutions. I think one of the biggest things, whether you're looking for fuel, factoring, or really any service, you've got to look at the reviews. You got to look at reputable sources. You got to go off of people like yourself. You got to go off of mentors and referrals that have been in the industry. I think that's helpful. But obviously, do your research and look into reputable companies. There's a lot of new fuel companies that are coming in the space, and they're heavy technology driven, but the discounts aren't so good. And so there's a lot of hidden fees and things like that can come with it. With our fuel program, as I mentioned before, we've got the factoring blueprint down. And so with our fuel program, we know how to run the business. We know what's important to our guys. We're consistently communicating with clients to ask what new features and things they want to see. And so building a program that is designed around helping them obviously save money, but most importantly, how do we help them stay in business longer, grow their business, and create a sustainable plan is what's most important for us when we're discussing this with clients coming on board. And so I think those things are important to be asking when you're reviewing a fuel card. I'm sure we'll get into it at some point, but with a lot of these companies coming out, everybody wants to flash that Connecticut discount. They want to flash $1.80 and kind of hit this marketing buzzword of $1.80 off, and they'll get a lot of people that'll sign up for that. But then when you get into it, that's one station in Connecticut, and if you never run to Connecticut, you don't see that discount. So
correct.
We see kind of the credit card gimmicks that happen out there with a lot of folks, and so we stay tried and true of what we know to be consistent, what our average is. That way you're looking at across the whole U.S. And yes, it can get as high as $2, but also it can be, 20 or 30 cents. So we want to be transparent on that and understand that, depending on where you're running, we'll determine on what you're going to see. But I would say looking into the company, how long they've been along is important. If they're tied to a factoring company, I think looking at our competitors, the most solid fuel programs in the industry are tied directly to a factoring company. So I would definitely recommend that as another piece because, again, the factoring company for a lot of these has been around longer than maybe the fuel card program has in some instances. And so you just have more longevity as opposed to, just like anything in life, these kind of fly-by-night programs that are popping up, and then next thing you know, they don't exist anymore. So longevity, trustworthiness, the reviews, I think those kind of apply across the board.
And I think kind of to piggyback on Zach, and I'm sure you can kind of touch on this a little bit more, is the network that our carriers are allowed to use when it comes to the fuel card, right? I feel like maybe some of our competitors might but encourage their carriers to only, fuel up at one particular truck stop or one location. And I feel like we have a large network of fuel stops that, our carriers can stop at to take advantage of those discounts, whether it's mom and pop stations, whether it's, larger partners like TA. And I think that, having that large network does help, our carriers plan their routes better and be more successful over the road.
So I definitely saw that myself. What we were doing was we were in OTR's app. I'll flash that up on the screen at some point. But inside of OTR's app, we were basically able to, look at where he was currently at, where he was currently going in the route planner, and see all the stations that we could stop at and actually save money on fuel. So we did see some savings. And at the end of the week, you guys sent me like a total amount of how much I saved for the week. And I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. So inside of the fuel program, what does OTR Solutions offer? Like, which could someone look forward to that's brand new, that's looking at possibly getting a fuel card, and they decide, hey, I want to take a look at OTR's fuel program?
Yep. So outside of just the basic discounts, one thing that's going to be tried and true is the customer service, right? So just like what you see on the factoring side, if you work with us there, it's the same customer service. We do, no voicemails, 2-ring max type of style. And so we're always here. We're answering the phones. We have a customer service team on the fuel side specifically that's available from 8 a.m. till midnight, Monday through Friday. And that's for advances, customer service questions, things of that nature. And then we also have, those are available 8 to 8 on Saturday and Sunday. So our hours, I think, are pretty expansive in comparison to most competitors because customer service, we understand trucking is always going. And so we've expanded that out to accommodate, right? In addition to that, with us, you're going to get I think I mentioned earlier, a tire and maintenance program. So, anywhere from $50 to $100 off your tires with well-known, brand name tires, maintenance discounts, oil changes, things of that nature. And then a rewards program as well that you can earn the free showers at TAs and things of that nature too. So for us, we want to build an all-encompassing program. It goes without saying you can get the factoring as well and the service that we're going to provide there. In fact, if you bundle fuel and factoring together, we usually are going to be willing to give you a lower factoring rate or some sort of discounted price there, and then add in your fuel savings, and it becomes really substantial with what you're saving, and then also with what you're getting with all of those kind of benefits and solutions tied in. But yeah, I would say, what makes OTR is our customer service, our willingness to be here to help the clients to resolve problems, whether it be a fraudulent issue on a card, whether it be, I need to order more cards, whatever it is, we want to be there and actually service the account ourselves and do it in a timely manner, because we've seen and even dealt with competitors where we're trying to help somebody out, maybe transition a card or something like that. And we've sat on hold for 45 minutes or longer, just trying to get in touch with someone or help our guy get in touch with somebody. So we take pride in how quickly we are able to respond to issues and resolve those, because that's obviously what's going to keep these guys moving.
That's very important. Very, very important. As far as like for the company, can companies order physical cards for each of their drivers?
Yep. So you can order as many or as few cards as you want. It's totally your call, and you can do that up front. And then at any time, if you need to order additionals, you just shoot us an email or give us a call. We'll order more cards for you. You give us the address to send them to. We can create driver profiles, so each driver has spending limits. We can create, names to the cards so you can see who's transacting where, things like that. So all of that can be kind of notated within your reporting. And then again, as you mentioned earlier, we can set up reporting that's going to come to you daily, weekly, monthly, however often you want to see it. So you can really stay on top of your business in that way as well.
Awesome. That's very important. Let me ask you this: for guys that do factoring and also want to use the fuel program, can you explain how bundling factoring and fuel with OTR Solutions helps trucking companies save money? And how does this offering compare to what other providers in the industry claim to offer?
Yep, for sure. So one stat I'll give you as to why we ultimately built this program as a bundle offer is we've ran the data and know that people that don't factor with anyone generally don't stay in business as long as people that do factor. And that's not a plug for us. That's just factoring in general, because you've got cash flow faster. You have somebody else to help with the billing, collecting, right? It's just beneficial for your business in this day and age, especially with a kind of crazy market that we've seen the last few years and customers getting slower. It's just beneficial. So if you're, I think the last stat that I saw, you're 60% or more likely to be in business after a year if you are factoring with somebody, and maybe 9 months. Excuse me if I'm off on that. But stay in business longer, right? If you're factoring, if you add, for us, looking at our data, if you add fuel to that, it jumps north of 90%.
Whoa!
Right, because of the additional savings, additional team for customer support, everything's all in one house, right? So if you called your account manager on the factoring side, they could get you to your fuel rep on the fuel side by walking over, by transferring the call, whatever we want to do. You could stop into our office and see all of us and actually talk about your account, right? And so it's all in the one house. keeping people in business longer with that bundle was the initiative behind it. But additionally to your question, they're going to get generally some sort of percentage off on their factoring side if they're fueling a certain amount. We're very gracious, I would say, on our gallons requirements to get those lower amounts. But for example, generally we see a one truck company do north of 1,000 gallons a month. We put our parameter to qualify for these things at 400, 500 gallons a month. So it's very attainable to hit to qualify for the benefits of factoring kind of bundled in. But you're going to see that savings on the factoring rate side. You're going to see that savings on the fuel side. And ultimately, again, you've just got that platform where you've got one mobile app. You can submit your invoice. You can view your invoices. You can also view the fuel finder. You can view your transactions. So it's that one ecosystem that makes your life easier, which ultimately is saving time. But also the dollars and cents savings is a no-brainer there. If you're saving $500 to $600 as a one truck company on the fuel side a month, and then you're also saving an additional 50 to 100, let's just say, on a factoring rate that you would have paid higher maybe with a competitor or something like that for not having a bundle, then it starts to add up pretty quickly. And so ultimately, I think those savings, that one ecosystem, that time, all kind of equates to helping build a better business model and translates into being in business longer.
And I know you have a good stat. Like typically one truck, like how much is a one truck client of ours like spending on factoring per month versus like what's that number versus what that $500 you were talking about they might save on the fuel side?
Yeah, usually let's just say somebody submits for easy numbers $10,000 in invoices in a month, and they're at 2.5% or a 3% factoring rate. That's $250 to $300. If you're saving $500 on the fuel card, you basically just netted $250 in your pocket.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
And so when you talk about you might have been paying 3%, for example, or 4% or whatever, depending on who you're with. When you start to knock that down by 0.25% or 0.5% just for bundling right off the bat, you're saving money there. And then you add the fuel savings. It sounds kind of crazy to think, but realistically, you're making money when you talk about, when you bundle the fuel and factoring together, essentially factoring for free in that sense. It sounds too good to be true, so we don't advertise it that way to say factor for free. But ultimately, the dollars and cents just prove out that you're going to save enough money to cover the factoring expense and also probably net positive on the fuel side.
One thing for sure, two things for certain. People lie, numbers don't.
Correct.
I did a call with a gentleman, consultation call, and something he also piqued my interest. This was before, I think I spoke to Wade and I told Wade about this. I mentioned this to Wade, but I did a call and one of my guys, he was just like, I'm using OTRs. I'm factoring with OTR. I said, thank you. He said, I'm also using OTR's fuel program. And I'm like, the fuel program, really? I said, how do you like it? He said, well, I'm literally not even paying for my factoring because of the savings that I'm getting using their fuel card. I said, really? And I think that's when I got on the call with Wade when we did our meeting. I was like, wait, I just had this conversation. I said, tell me a little more about the fuel card. Tell me a little more about this fuel program. How is someone able to actually not pay for factoring by using the fuel card? And I'm like, okay, this is starting to make a lot of sense to me. So this is me bringing the fuel program to my audience now because a few people made me a believer, and then I also got the fuel card myself, and now I see exactly what they were talking about based on the savings. And a lot of people, the main thing most people usually ask about is what's the percentage, what's OTR's factoring percentage or whatever factoring company that they're looking at. They're always looking at that percentage of how much they're going to pay for factoring. But if you take that, like the bundle that you guys mentioned, and now you're doing your factoring and you're also saving money on your fuel, I'm like, this is kind of like what I call a no-brainer. This would be considered one of those.
Yeah, a lot of people, they don't know what they don't know, right? If they've never, a lot of people want to use their personal credit card. They think they're getting the points and all this good stuff, but they're not necessarily educated on what those opportunities are if you take advantage of a fuel card program. And so the savings on that side, like you kind of said, we don't like to, say it's factoring for free, but you are, you're saving enough money on your fuel side that essentially what you're paying for factoring is almost nothing.
For sure. It makes sense. Makes sense. What would you say? What would you guys say the key difference is between OTR Solutions and other factoring companies in terms of hidden fees and transparency? Before you go into that, I had fuel programs or fuel cards or fuel programs that I signed up to, and some of those programs I didn't use, but I still ended up getting a bill every single month, even with me not using the fuel card. So those immediately I canceled, because one thing about any type of program, if someone's not using something and they continuously see a fee coming out of their account, it's getting canceled.
Correct.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So for us, as we kind of talked about before, I mean, our name is our bond, right? Our reviews are as important to us as anything. And so
For sure.
we want to be very upfront and transparent about any fees associated with the account. And so any fuel card, as you mentioned, any fuel card is going to have a monthly fee. Generally, that fee is passed down from the originating vendor that is coming directly with the fuel stations. Ours right now is an industry low. It's usually around $7 a month or so. I think it's $7.99 to just have the card open, and that's for like our standard basic prepaid card. If you get into a line of credit, sometimes there's an additional like a higher fee, but that's similar to like if you had an Amex or anything like that, you kind of pay for what you're getting, a little bit more risk there. And so for us, that's the fee, right? If you go to the stations where you're going to save, the in-network stations, which, our market is as big, if not bigger than anyone's out there for open market. If you go to those stations, there's no transaction fees. There's no additional fees coming with that. No maintenance fee, application fee, any of that sort of stuff. It's very straightforward. If you go to a competitor station, then they actually enforce a fee onto our card, which is like about a $3 transaction fee. But again, to your point, you're not saving there. You can go if you'd like. If you're in a bind in the one place in America that only has that station, then by all means, our card would work there. But generally, like you said, if you're using the card the right way, go into the stations on the Fuel Finder map that are going to save you the money. You're not going to have a transaction fee. And so where we generally win is in the fee space. We're very, very cognizant of any fees that are associated with it, because if you have too many fees associated with your card, then you're going to basically completely eliminate the discount. A lot of our competitors will have a 20 cent or a 30 cent discount, but then there's a transaction fee of $1.50 or $10, whatever, it ranges every time you swipe the card, whether you go to the right stations or the wrong stations. They've got monthly fees. There's got $100 application fee. And so when you add all that up over the course of a year, you start to really lose the discounts. Now you're only saving 7 cents on average instead of 30 cents that they advertised. Right. And so being transparent on the fees, I think, is one of the most important thing. It's honestly where we win a lot of business. Particularly larger business. If we get a fuel gallons report, we'll go through it and we can compare apples to apples at stations and tell you the discounts you'd see. Even if that's a wash, we're going to generally win because they're going to be hammering you on the fees side, and we're going to be able to cut that in half, if not completely eliminate it. So that's where it really comes down to. And I think, you kind of mentioned it earlier. It's the money doesn't lie, right? The dollars and cents. And so much of what we do on a day-to-day basis is more of a consultation. It's more of a helping service. We train our teams here. We don't sell ice to Eskimos. If it's not going to help somebody, we don't want to sell it to them. We want to actually be more of an EMT showing up to a crash scene, right? Like, who's in the most pain that we can help? That's what we're really aiming for. And so you've got to figure out, what's the plan for the business, where we can plug in and help them. If we do that, then the best method forward is to be transparent, because, we want our team to be under the mindset that if we're going to set our standard that we're going to answer the phone when people call in, then you're going to have to deal with an angry customer that you didn't tell a fee to. So you might always want to communicate it correctly up front, right? And so we train our teams the right way. We communicate things the right way up front. It's obviously all in writing as well when you sign up, so you know what you're getting. That's where we see the biggest difference in our program versus others. Is so often we talk to someone on the phone and they say, I'm getting 80 cents. And we get a fuel report and they're getting 8 cents because they were never communicated the fees. To your point earlier, they're not looking at their report if they're even getting it. And so they don't know what the actual dollars and cents are coming out to. And so it just makes it difficult to keep track of, am I losing money? Am I saving money? because just like a lot of things in the world, there's too much like too good to be true out there. And when you actually dissect a program, get into all the hidden fees and stuff like that, it really starts to eliminate it. Eliminate that discount. To give you an actual real life example, because I like to put money where the mouth is we had a person that was saving $2,500 and asked us about the fees. They were funding their card, and there's a fee to fund the card with a debit or credit or even a Zelle. That fee was $8 with a Zelle, for example. So if they're funding it once a week for $2,500, that came out to $32 a month, right?
Okay.
So you're funding the card 10 grand, but you're only spending $30. We want to be very transparent in that math, but that's a real live example that I just had on the floor with one of our guys who was speaking with someone on the phone of what those fees look like. And it's so minuscule that, like I said, any of us all day would pay $30 to have $10,000 available in our fuel account, right? So, so much of it is just the narrative of I'm scared of fees. I don't understand the fees. What's the factoring percentage? Like I said, I've been here for a long time. We've seen on the factoring side, somebody gets offered 1%, and then there's fees, there's delays, there's issues, all these things. You end up paying 5%, or you get charged back and you get late fees or whatever else. And so there's just too much kind of hidden out there. And so where we've been successful for the last 13, 14 years is being transparent with people and working on our reviews, offering, you don't get referrals if you don't treat people the right way. That's just at the end of the day. So for us, that's one of our biggest sources of business is our name and our referral sources and our partnerships and things like that. So we have to hold that brand and hold the line pretty heavily.
Now, one thing that I personally love about OTR is customer service. Customer service is big for me, right? If I'm working with a company or even me as being partnered with you guys, but also a client using the services myself, customer service is everything. But what are some of those key factors that separate you guys from everyone else in the industry?
Yeah, I think I lightly touched on it earlier, but the biggest thing is I think our hours of availability on the fuel side. We're 8 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday, and then 8 to 8 on Saturday, Sunday. That's customer service team available to answer the phones, process fuel card advances, review your account if you see a transaction or anything like that you have a question on. So just more time, more availability that aligns with the industry that we're in, as opposed to, a lot of the competitors are just working the banking hours, right? That 8 to 5 sort of space, and that's not what trucking is. And so when you truly put the client at the core of your business model, then you devise a plan around how to actually service them whenever fits into their life and not making them fit into your life, right? I think that's really important. And so for us, I could go, through a couple of stories specifics, but, we have people that have called us at 8 p.m. in a bind that need an advance and they're, need fuel quick or whatever case may be, and they're having trouble with something on their card. And I've seen people, look at the, stay on the phone for an hour to walk them through this scenario, make sure they're good to go before they get off. Those are the things that earn you a review. Those are the things that earn you a referral. Those are the things that earn you a returning customer, because it's just, you put the proof what the pudding is, right? And you actually do what you say you're going to do. And unfortunately, as we all know, that's not exactly the case for a lot of the world these days. And so it sounds boring. It's no rocket science. We just do what we say we're going to do. You know what I mean? And we train our teams on the front end to sell correctly. Like I said, to be transparent about the fees. That's a customer service piece. But on the back end as well, we understand that our teams and our goals, we align all of our team's goals based on the success of the client, right? How much did they fuel? Did they order more cards? Did, the resolution of calls as they come in, things like that. The number of answered calls versus missed calls. I mean, we have a stat that goes in front of everybody on a daily basis that says number of missed calls, where maybe you were available and you didn't answer it. It doesn't mean somebody else didn't get it. But where we're challenging our team to be quicker to answer the phones, quicker to resolve issues. And so, again, our metrics, our program is just built around being available. A lot of times it's a quick, simple fix but it's just about being available and getting someone on the phone.
And I think kind of on top of that too, one of the good things about, our fuel side and our customer service is if you were to, sign up for a fuel card, directly with a provider or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to deal with that provider. They're probably not going to answer the phone. They're too busy. They have other vendors that they're dealing with. With OTR and our fuel program, you're going to deal with, our team internally and we'll handle the relationship with,
Right.
that fuel card vendor, fuel card provider. So you're getting that, special customer service on the fuel side internally, with Zach's team. And like he said, they're built to help. They're built based on the success of our customers and clients.
Okay. Awesome. A lot of companies out there, I think once the business gets built and the revenue starts being generated, a lot of times the customer service side of the business goes kind of like down. The most successful companies, I would say, they put customers first, right? And their businesses continue to thrive, especially when the customer is put first and foremost in that business model. And I think you guys, based on my experience with you guys, have done a great job in doing that, right? Everybody has a bad day. So it may be just that one day that things might not go exactly as planned, but that's not for the entirety of your business. But for the most part, my experience has been incredible. Let me ask you this and pivot to this, because this is something that's big that's happening in trucking on every level. And it's the rise of fraud and scams, right? So how does OTR Solutions ensure like the security and reliability of their services in a market that's riddled with, you don't know who's who these days?
Yeah, for sure. So we do a couple of different things. The number one piece for us is obviously providing those reports and transaction reports to you is going to show you if you see anything that's kind of off, like what you would have with, say your Amex card or something like that. If you can
Right.
see that reporting, which we've come to find out, again, a lot of these basic things that we're doing, we've found out that competitors don't set these up for you. And so you kind of got to go and ask, and then go through that whole process to even get it turned on. We're setting it up from day one. So having that report that comes in daily, weekly, whatever, kind of review your statement. You can see, wait a second, my guys have been running right here. What's this transaction over here? You let us know, and we're going to go directly with you and help you file a claim, get it disputed, get it refunded, get a new card ordered if that may be the case or whatever. And so that's one piece which kind of ties back into that customer service level. But we are working on a couple of new features to roll out with. They're going to help with, capacity around like how much a truck can fill up, where the locations are, things like that. We've partnered with a couple of companies here in the future. We'll be rolling out some new updates where, you'll be able to actually, like I said, you can set the gallons thresholds and the spending thresholds per card. And so that helps with it a lot. But ultimately, giving people specific PIN numbers, you can request a certain PIN. We're rolling out a new feature here shortly that's going to actually, if you want to turn it on, it's going to be optional. We're not going to make everybody do it, but you can actually set it where it does a custom PIN every time you pull up to the pump, right? And so that PIN comes just to your driver or, to your owner, whoever you want it to go to. So we're continuing to evolve that because as you mentioned on the factoring side and everything else, we've seen the rise in fraud. The biggest thing we make sure of is that the card you have on file matches to who we have as the owners, who you've listed as the drivers, things of that nature. And then we work basically with you to, if you see anything funky, then we can help, examine it. We can help resolve the claims, get a refund, order more cards, whatever, case may be. And that kind of ties into what Wade had mentioned earlier. If you go directly through a specific vendor, that's like calling the IRS. I mean, you could sit on the phone for an hour and then never talk to anybody. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
It's wild to us. And so a lot of times people will ask us, certain things about the card, and we'd love to give some sort of flashy new 2025 AI answer. But the reality is that we're just doing the basics. We're making sure that things are run the right way. We're providing a quick and easy, efficient report, very easily to track and to see. And yes, we are rolling out new features consistently through our mobile app, through the card functionality, things like that will continue to help. But at the core of it, it is, you're not alone in the process. Inevitably for a lot of folks, something will happen. A card will get stolen. The cards are being shipped through the mail, and that process isn't exactly reliable, as we all know. So, and a lot of these guys are on the road, and so somebody could get in your mailbox, somebody could request an advance. So when somebody requests an advance, for example, we're verifying that it's the owner, we're verifying that it's the phone number and or the email that is listed with FMCSA, things of that nature. To just take that one extra step, that one extra minute to verify is what eliminates a lot of these types of things on the front end. And then, like I said, if something slips through and it does happen, then we're there to help, pick up the pieces with you and resolve it. Our core at OTR, I've always said, whether it's factoring, fuel, clutch, or whatever products that we're on, our business is built around being a partner, not a parent. We're not going to tell you where to go and what to do and how to do it. We want to work with you to resolve these things. A lot of times we find that when that bad day comes and somebody stole one of your cards out of your mailbox or whatever, a lot of competitors will push you directly to that vendor to now go through this lifelong process of trying to get it resolved, get an account closed, whatever. We can do all of that in about 1 minute. We can close an account, freeze the card, order you new cards, whatever you want to be. To give a live example, I think you sent one over to us a couple of weeks ago after we talked.
Yep.
We got him resolved, got his account frozen, got him new cards ordered, everything set up. I think within like 30 minutes after that call, after you had sent it over to us. So, that's the key. I think a lot of times is that sometimes things happen and people go directly through the vendor, not knowing. Call us. We're going to handle it for you. Let us take that burden off. You keep running. We can, the other thing is if you're factoring with us, even if your card is frozen, say somebody hacked into it or whatever, who knows what these guys are capable of doing these days. Right. We can issue you a com check. We can still provide you with fuel if you're factoring with us, right? We can get out com check codes to you, things like that. In the meantime, while the new cards are on the way. So again, that ties into the perk of bundling the program. We have more, not leniency, but benefits of being able to take care of your business when things happen. And we don't like to pretend like things aren't going to happen. It's the trucking industry. It is life. A bad day will come. Something will happen. We hope it doesn't, but we need to be prepared for it, and we need to make sure that we can take care of our clients in that day.
For sure. Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And being able to react to situations expeditiously makes all the difference to most people. Because I just recently made a phone. I forgot what company I called, but I know I was number 35 in line, and I did not sit on that phone.
We all hate
that. The sheer fact that you can call OTR for me and someone actually picks up or forwards me to my account manager is everything to me. Or if I get an email, they respond back to the emails. Just being responsive, like that's big for us
just
that are
basic, you know what I mean?
Yes. Things like that just make all the difference. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to give you another kind of scope into that, what we've seen is whether it be the rise in AI, automation, et cetera, a lot of competitors, people in the space, whether it be a broker, a factoring company, a fuel card, whatever, they're using these advances in technology to automate roles and remove people. We're using our advances in technology to automate roles of like day-to-day mundane task processing in advance or whatever case may be as we continue to expand, so that we can have more people available to answer the phones when situations arise. Right. Because again, that is our core model. And so if you have people so busy doing tasks that a system could do, responding to a quick inquiry or whatever, right? Then it takes away their time to be able to be available on the phone and truly help someone. That's what we're trying to do with our automations and advances forward in technology. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of competitors advance their technology and then their customer service plummets because they let a bunch of people go to save the bottom line. And for us, I mean, I just hired 4 new people this week. I mean, we're consistently hiring. We're adding to the team more available personnel to help out our clients any way we can.
And that's something OTR is always going to do, both on the factoring and the fuel side, right? We're going to continue to hire enough staff to make sure that we have, that availability for our clients, to make sure that we're able to service, their issues or their questions or concerns as if we were, a 3 or 4 person operation.
Right. Awesome. That's awesome. And that makes a big difference for a lot of people. Can you speak on the Fuel Finder feature in OTR Solutions mobile app and how it benefits carriers?
Yep. So the biggest thing about the Fuel Finder is that it's a route planning tool, right? And so
Okay.
before you take off, plug in, where you're located and where you're going. It's going to show you all the locations. You can filter that to show you every location. You can show just the in-network location. You can filter to say, just show me TAs, right? Or whatever, preference that you have. So it's going to allow you to, again, plan your business out the right way, plan the right route so that you optimize and save the most money. When you think about, and I know you've seen this time and time again, if you're running a job and it's going to pay you $1,000, right? And you can plug in your route on this Fuel Finder and it's going to tell you where you can save the most. And you can go and fill up at a location and save $120 or $80 or whatever. Now you just made $1,080 or $1,100 or whatever. That's just more money added to that invoice when it comes to dollars and cents. And so, if you have 2 or 3, fill ups and it's a longer job, whatever, all of that just expands. And so that's the biggest portion of the Fuel Finder. It's going to tell you all of that also within the Fuel Finder as you transact. The next page over is going to show you those transactions. It's going to show you how much you saved at each one. And then again, we can have the report mailed to you, emailed to you weekly, daily, whatever you want. But it's always in there too. So particularly for, the 1 to 2 truck operation, that handheld office right there for invoicing, broker checks, NOAs, Fuel Finder, anything is all housed there. We're continuing to expand on it and make it better and better. But that's the biggest thing is getting ahead and planning your route so that you see the highest level of savings. 9 times out of 10, it's one of our stations is going to be right there off the exit with a big name guy that you are used to hearing about that's been around for 30 years, but their savings is 9 cents and they have clean showers. Our station is going to be right there. Across the street from them, and you can save 70 cents or 60 cents or whatever case may be, depending on where you're running. So it's really the route planning piece that's looking ahead and getting yourself set up for success that we would say is probably the biggest feature of that.
What other tools does OTR Solutions offer to help clients maximize their factoring and fuel benefits? How do they work?
I think that the biggest thing for people is understanding if you bundle, you save the most.
Okay.
You save the most, you essentially ensure your longevity in business. And, like I said before, I think that's the case whether you go with us or not. And I like to just be transparent with people. I think when you just bundle that type of program, you're generally going to see a longer time in business. Obviously, we're, big fans of our program here and we know the stats of our clientele and how long that they've been in business, how it's going to help them, et cetera. But bundling those two things together, high level, and just to probably wrap up this whole conversation around all these tools is you have more available people for customer service. You have one mobile app, one portal or web browser to see everything. You can see your fuel balance, you can see your invoice balance, you can see all of that, right? We're partnered with DAT, right? As most people know, on the factoring side, they're also partnered with us on the fuel side. So there's a DAT version of the fuel card that you can get if you go directly through their website. That is the OTR card. When you go on to their app, you're going to see if you use this card, you could save $132 or whatever on this route that you're looking at on the load board. So again, encompassing everything to where when you're booking loads, when you're planning your route, when you're factoring, when you're fueling, all in one house, life just gets simpler. It saves time. It saves money. And all in all, I think it saves businesses, really. I mean, it sets the business up for success. And as most people who are familiar with OTR probably know by now, we're never complacent. We're at 2,300 available in-network stations for our fuel card right now. Our next highest up for most of our main competitors that actually, we see the most often is 600, 700 locations, right? Their card will only work at their locations. Ours will work at theirs and at ours. Now you'll save, like when you expand that network out to include all of theirs, it's over 8,000 places that it'll actually work. About 2,400 of them are where you're going to see a substantial discount. But to that tone of not being complacent, we're consistently talking to vendors and adding more locations, adding more vendors to our network, the Ambest network and mom and pops and things like that are just going to give you more opportunities to save, where a lot of these other, kind of programs, grandfather programs that have been around for 30 years, they're building new stations, but they're not adding new stations. They're not adding many new features. And so we're going to continue to evolve, whether it be enhancements on the fraud side, bigger discounts, more available stations. As most people have seen on the factoring side, it will only continue to get better because we're never satisfied with where we are today and what our clients need. And so I think when you think about all of those things and all that OTR Solutions as a company offers within the solution space, it's really becomes kind of a no-brainer for your business to eliminate a lot of the thinking that you probably have to do if you pick 10 different vendors for these things and just have it all one here. And to your point, you have one account manager, you do have a fuel sales rep, a factor sales rep, things like that. They can have specific details for what you need, but ultimately anyone can help you. We can all view the account the same way, and we can all make sure that you're set up for success or resolve an issue for you. So that's what I think is probably the biggest tool that helps most people is understanding that within our mobile app, within our portal, it's a one-stop shop solution where you have all the visibility that you need for whatever you need.
I think you summed it up. Like fuel card, I think you summed everything up. Like the fuel card, the fuel program, the way that you broke it down. I think that it makes sense to have a fuel card if you are running, your business. Especially now, there are some guys I know that just feel like they don't need a fuel card, and maybe they don't. If you're more local based and not really going super far, maybe a fuel card may not be for you. I'm sure it's for some people and it's not for others, based on your business model. But if you are running that truck, you're going long distance, you're running a lot of routes, money saved is always going to be money made any day of the week. If you guys have any last words you want to leave the audience with in terms of using a fuel card, now is the chance.
I would add one thing to kind of what you mentioned right there. I think you said it at the beginning of our time together, and that is sometimes people will sign up for a fuel card and they're getting charged a fee and they never even use the card. If you are that local guy, be mindful of that. Don't just sign up for a bunch of cards without knowing if it's actually going to be applicable to your business. That's why I say earlier, we don't sell ice to Eskimos. I want to know if I've got a guy that only runs in, Atlanta, Georgia. There's not a whole lot of truck stops in Atlanta, Georgia, as just that being the hub of the city, right? You're just running courier routes or smaller runs. You need to be mindful, right? Now we do offer a discount at racetracks and things like that. We're going to communicate. These are the closest places to you. Are you going to be passing these types of places? If not, don't get this card. You're not going to be happy with it, and you're not going to, you're going to think that we've given you something that ultimately we know you don't need. So be mindful when you're talking and looking at these companies for a fuel card. Ask them, to either send you a view of the fuel finder if they offer that sort of feature. Let them know where you like to run so you can plug it in. I think those things are important because there are too many people out there that are just trying to close an account that are going to give you something that you don't need, and you're going to be getting charged for it when you're never even going to end up using it. The other piece I would add is if you are that person that's just using a credit card, you are leaving so much money on the table that it's not even funny. We've had companies that are one truck. We've had companies that are doing $500,000 a month in factor volume, running 25 trucks. We've seen them both use an Amex or a MasterCard or whatever. And they say they're using it for the points. And most of the time, those points come out to, if you're using it for the points for cash back, those points are coming out to, $50 to $100. Best case scenario, $1,000 or whatever case may be as you start to get to a larger fleet. And when you talk about, a 20 truck company using an Amex, that's a level of risk with a bunch of drivers having access to your Amex that I don't want to play in. That's number one. And number two, the cashback just cannot touch the level of discount that a fuel card will see. And for us, we can go custom deals as we get to larger fleets, and get, more features, more discounts, things like that. Obviously, it comes with a little bit more within the program. So we see it all, but just be mindful if you are the guy just starting out using your credit card instead of using a fuel card. I think you're missing out. You're leaving a lot of money on the table. And for us, if you use the prepaid card, you can actually use a MasterCard or a Visa to fund your fuel card if you want to. So you can kind of double down on the transaction of points within the card, and then also use the savings. And those are instant fundings. You can pull up to the pump, hit add the funds, step out, and fuel up right there. It's there instantly. So we tried to think of everything we can in that sense, but like I said, just be mindful of leaving money on the table and be mindful of signing up for something that you might not actually be able to use.
And then to kind of piggyback on that, just give us a call too. Like just like on the factoring side, how we'll be willing to kind of let you know what you're getting, whether you're with a competitor or not using a factoring company. The fuel team will definitely be able to take a look at, your gallons report and let you know what you could save with our card and what you may be getting with one of our competitors. And it's, like Zach said, we're no pressure, sell, right? We're not going to sell ice to an Eskimo. He's big on these analogies or idioms, right? He said like 15 of them on this call, but he's not, we're not going to force any carriers into anything. We'll definitely talk it over with you and make sure you know what you're getting. And then if you want to utilize our program, we make sure you're comfortable and you know what you're going to get with OTR.
So I don't know if this went over everybody's head, but Zach literally just gave y'all a hack. The credit card, to add the credit card, still get your points and still save money on using the fuel card.
Yep.
That's a hack. you get the best of both worlds. So you still get your points,
Absolutely.
and now you can also save money on your diesel fuel. And we pump a lot of diesel.
Yep.
So
you see the hat? Diesel dogs, baby.
Yeah, you see it. You see it. So,
we live and breathe it over here, man.
Hey, I appreciate you guys coming on here and
appreciate
explaining,
absolutely,
the fuel card to the audience and the importance of having one. And for those that feel like they don't need the fuel card, you just learned a new hack, how you can still implement your fuel card, still get your points.
Still
make money. Absolutely. Save money.
Get the money however you can.
Absolutely. That's what this business is about. Saving and making. So, Hey, thank you guys for coming on, Wade, Zach. Till the next time. Appreciate y'all. Always hustle. Never stop growing. And don't forget, the link to sign up for OTR's fuel card will be down below in the description box. If you aren't using it, you'll see the link in the description box and also pinned in the comment section. All right, it's Tommy Bigg Vic TV. Always hustle.
Thanks, Vic.
Never stop
Appreciate
growing.
you, guys.
Let's eat.